Hello guys, happy spring to you all. This video is all about the veterinary trip that my dog and I had, and while I was waiting for his turn at the vet clinic, I thought why not make a video of the medical expenses that your dog will be having if you decide to bring them inside Canada, and what are the costs of caring for them too. Of course, this is to assume that your dog is healthy and does not have any underlying conditions. To start with, we had to call a vet clinic in advance to book an appointment. Most clinics here are also swamped, and if you live in a rural area just like us, the waiting time could take up to weeks. If it's an emergency and depending upon the clinic's policy, you can immediately visit them, but they will have to triage your dog first. Yeah, I know, just like in the hospital. While inside the clinic, they weighed my dog and then brought me immediately to the doctor's office. There was no waiting time for us because this is already our second time visiting them, and so they already have our records. We had to make sure too that my dog is on a leash because there were other dogs there, obviously. While meeting the doctor was very pleasant, we told him about our purpose of visit, and that is to have his anti-rabies updated because the one from the Philippines has already expired. We also had him check my dog's vaccine records, and while his kennel cough and DA2 PPV are still updated, I don't really know how to pronounce the second one. We just decided to have him vaccinated by it too because anyhow, they will expire this year. Here, the anti-rabies and DA2 PPV are good for 3 years, while the kennel cough is only valid for a year. Just a quick note that even though your dog has already have the kennel cough vaccine, it doesn't mean that he won't have a cough. That's why veterinarians do not impose this to dog owners. However, in our case, we won't know when we'll send our dog to the dog daycare, so might as well take this because kennel cough is one of those vaccines that dog daycares look for if you board your dog with them. Also, since my dog is 6 years old and healthy, those were the only vaccines that they recommended on us. How much did we pay all in all? Well, for the anti-rabies, it costed us 25 Canadian dollars. For the DA2 PPV, they charged us 20 Canadian dollars. And for the kennel cough, it was 25 Canadian dollars too. These vaccine prices for me are quite reasonable and cheap, even if I'll compare it to the prices in the Philippines. And oh, we had to pay 94 Canadian dollars for the office visit or consultation. That's just the one that's expensive. Total, we paid 172 Canadian dollars for my dog's basic checkup. There were still other vaccines that my dog had taken while he was still in the Philippines that were not advised by his doctor here, like the leptospirosis, because that is only common in tropical countries. Lastly, because my dog has a microchip, he had to check it and advise us to register him with the BC Pet Registry. Before we left the clinic, they gave us a pet tag that looks like a paw, so in case he gets lost, they know where to send him. Have your dog be registered in your local municipality too, so they have a record of your dog, and depending on where you live, this could be free. Is it mandatory to get an insurance for your dogs here? Well, this depends on your province and what town you live in. In our case, it isn't, so I did not bother to get him one, but I always make sure that we are prepared in case my dog will have an emergency, God forbid. Mostly in bigger cities, insurance for dogs is mandatory. Few days after his vaccines, we had my dog booked for a grooming for the first time, and he was such a good boy, following and cooperating the groomer's instructions. The price for a complete groom where I live is 75 Canadian dollars, but we only paid 50 Canadian dollars because he had to reschedule us. That was so nice of her, and I hope all business owners do this. If you only want to have the claws cut, then it will only cost you 15 Canadian dollars. Taking care of a dog is a no easy task and entails many responsibilities, but just like us humans, they too need medical checkups from time to time because, like what we always hear from the doctors, prevention is better than cure. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. Paalam!